Hi, welcome back to Stage 2. Thanks for joining us in the room. Thanks for joining us around the world online. It's really great to have your company too. Dormakaba is a company that you might not have heard of. It's huge. It's got a footprint around the world, and it's probably touched you, or you've touched it easily within the last week. And I'm really pleased to introduce Nina Bomberg from dormakaba, who's going to explain more about the company. We're talking AI in procurement, and you have a real live example. Before we get into that, explain dormakaba and what you do.
We're an access solutions company. So we make board card scanners, passport gates, these kinds of things. But we also do electronic locks for hotels, houses, and revolving doors and sliding doors, as well as timekeeping systems. So all of these things that get you into large office buildings, hospitals, these kinds of things.
So there we go. We have the context. And we're talking AI in procurement. Yesterday, we had a brilliant panel discussion on AI in procurement. And a colleague from PwC, Eric, kicked off by saying, look, everybody talks about it. Everybody says that's what we're going for. It's the big buzzword. Everyone needs to do AI. But in reality, well, maybe not so many people are doing it, or they have no idea how to do it. And we're really not there yet, as we all know. But yours is a company that is leading the way in the use of it. So, yeah, introduce what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Yes, so we were approached around this time last year, about whether we wanted to join this company or whether we wanted to work with them. And it was one of those, now I want to say one of those AI companies. Back then it was still quite early. It was a very early stage. And I thought, okay, this has potential. It's one of the 20 cold call emails you get a week. And there is the one where you say, listen, that might actually be interesting. So we got into the conversation with them. We started discussing, okay, what's possible, because even also for us at the time, we didn't know what we didn't know. So we didn't know what the options were, and the potential it could bring. And I have to say, even now a year in, we're still learning things. The company, of course, is also still developing quite quickly, and it's moving at a quite amazing pace.
So you have a film to show us about what it's all about. But just to backtrack for 1 second, as everybody says, it's not about I need AI. It's what is the problem I need? What's the outcome I need? And you went through that process and realised you could harness some new power, presumably.
Yes.
And the tool.
So for us, one of the biggest problems was requisition intake, because there are so many different channels where we realized that even the buyers are not 100% sure where to direct somebody who wants to buy XYZ. Do we have a catalog for that? Is that a free text? How many offers do you need for so-and-so quote? When do you need an invest application? And we said, if buyers don't even know these things, how can requisitioners know? It's impossible. So we are using this as a entry gate into procurement. Whatever you need from procurement, you'll get it there, and that's your starting point. From there, you can definitely get to a buyer, but the odds are you'll get to whatever, safety shoes, the item in the catalog, and you'll be good to go.
Fine, look, I've jumped ahead. Let's see what the product's all about.
Yes, I'll just, there you go.
Welcome to Moneypenny. Ever wanted to buy something but didn't feel like spending hours and hours clicking through pages and guidelines? We got you covered. Moneypenny helps you buy whatever you need within dormakaba. Easy, fast, empowering. Let's kick it off. First off, Moneypenny is way more than the easiest way to buy products. We can also help you with an array of service requests. Let's say you want to book your next client business travel. It leads you straight away to your expense and business trip portal, Concur. Check. But what about a manufacturing tool? Let's assume we're looking for a new hammer. It lists you both the standard articles and all the catalogs, where you can find your new hammer. Don't feel like searching through catalogs? Just click on the standard article and follow the link. Here you have all the relevant results. Just add it to the car, buy it, and be done. But what if you're already fully prepared with a quote and ready to go with an order? Just click on New Request and either drop the file or select it. In this case, we have selected a quote to paint an office space. It could be any type of service, which you might need, though. As you can see, it would be quite a lot of manual work to extract all the relevant data from the quote. Let's see what Moneypenny can do about this. Just open the document and wait for Moneypenny to work her magic. Just sit back, sip on your coffee, and she will be done in a second. As you can see, Moneypenny extracts all the relevant data, and you just have to fill in your personal information, such as the time frame and delivery address. You can review the document and add or delete anything where you may have changed your mind. Click on Next and select your cost center. Moneypenny already filled out the account type and commodity group, so no worry here. All ready? Simply submit your purchase request. It's as easy as that. Curious what else Moneypenny can do for you? Just try it out.
How very James Bond.
That was the name was actually, it came from a name contest that we did within the company as part of the change process and as part of the engagement.
I want to talk about that a little later on, absolutely, how bringing people with you. But look, first of all, I think a lot of people in this room and in every company that needs to somehow move forward just wouldn't know where to start. How did you even choose exactly what tool you needed?
I think we came from what's the biggest pain point? And the biggest pain point is that people are bypassing procurement because it's too complex.
Yeah.
People say, I don't want to work, you're a hindrance, you're in the way, I just want to buy things. And I don't want to wait for you guys forever to do it. I don't understand how your processes work. So we said, okay, so we have a maverick buying quote of, it's double digits, well in the double digits. And we said, so I can continue to try to educate internal stakeholders and educate them and educate them and educate them till I'm blue in the face. But uneducated internal stakeholders are going to grow faster than I can educate them. So if I make the process foolproof and that simple, that's it. It will solve the problem, and that's how we went about it. I mean, what you see there, that's the training video. That's all the onboarding you get on the system. It's 1 minute long.
That's great.
And that's it. You don't need a two-day training. If you need more information, yes, you can get on a call. And we do webinars, for example. So the company offers webinars twice a week where people can join, drop in, drop out, ask questions. And then we've had a couple of people who said they have joined, but really, they didn't need it. They knew how it worked. You've just seen the video. That's all you need to know.
Do you have the numbers in your head? Unfair question about take-up and use. Have you seen a massive jump in the people who are complying?
So we don't. It's not live for that long.
Okay.
That we can really look at that yet. But we do have the numbers is that we're really getting POs through that system, and it's the first system where I have a pull for an IT system. So while we were doing the trial, we were still waiting for IT confirmation, and people who were on the trial said, listen, can you get, how much longer till you roll it out? Because I really want to start using it. And I said, well, you can use it, but we're still waiting for IT approval. Okay, so can you put my colleague XYZ into the trial, because he really wants to use it as well, and he really wants to pilot, because I've been talking about it so much. So it's the first tool I've ever seen where it wasn't, just go away, I don't want yet another tool.
Yeah, more kit, no thank you. So it's great, you had overwhelming buy-in. Who were the stakeholders, or what type of stakeholders took a lot more convincing, were more difficult? It was a more difficult challenge.
The most difficult? IT. Without
everybody's
any
laughing
doubt.
here.
Yeah, no, without a second of a doubt. Of course, last year, AI in corporate use was still very new, and they really had to wrap their head around it. They really had to understand, do they want it? First I had long discussions about, do we even want to work with a startup? What's the contingency plan? What's the data recovery? All of these kinds of things. And then you come back and say, listen, this is not critical. I wouldn't necessarily run my ERP system with startup, but something like this, it's an add-on. If it doesn't work tomorrow, we'll go back to the old way. Not that I would like to, but we could. And then, of course, all the data security side, no doubt.
Yeah. You mentioned working with a startup. Were there particular benefits in working with a startup, and why did you choose a startup?
The speed is incredible. I think so. One of the best examples was we started, because they are German-based. So of course they started with their platform in German, and because we are a German-Swiss company, we talked in German. And then on a Wednesday afternoon, I contacted them and I said, I want to present this to the board on Monday, but half of them don't speak German. Can we get this in English? And they said, fair ask, we need to put it in English anyway. It's a national holiday tomorrow. Friday is bridging day for you guys, not for us, we're working, and they were probably also working on that holiday. Sunday afternoon, I get an email, Nina, if you go to the settings, you can change it to English now.
I bet they used AI to do that, didn't they?
I'm sure they did. I'm sure they didn't set an apprentice down to do the literal translations. But to have a turnaround like that in 4 days, of which 2 are a weekend and 1 is a holiday, if I wanted a change like that, no offense, in SAP, Ariba, Cooper, all of them, I don't have the change request filed in that time.
Yeah. We'll take questions a little later, so if you've got questions, bung your hand up, but let me just move away from that difficult area. Just to summarize so far, and really importantly, you had a narrow, focused requirement. You got in touch with the right company that you thought you would do it. It's about getting the money to invest. Was it an easy sell to your board? I mean, could you just go, I'm going to use AI and it's going to be better, and the board goes, AI will have that? Or was it an easy sell?
It was an easy sell once we had the business case set up.
Sure.
I did need the buy-in for the business case, though, to be time and not actual hard dollar value. But because so many people buy indirect things and everybody in the company needs it, if I can make every purchase 5 minutes shorter than it was before, across all the people, we're saving so much time that the business case is a no-brainer.
Exactly. Well, I was going to come on to that. You're saving a lot of time, which is a no-brainer. Have you yet got any data which shows that how much money you're saving?
No, because we haven't put those people into money yet, one-to-one. And for us now, the next steps are going to be rolling it out country by country.
What are the use cases?
So this is one where it's really intake. That's where we started. On the other side, there is also the Copilot, which we're using, or a Copilot that they call Copilot. It does classic things like, for example, one of the biggest ones for us is comparisons of T's and C's and codes of conduct. It's a tedious work. I don't know a single procurement person who appreciates reading terms and conditions. Not one. And a use case that came back, there was someone in my team who said, Nina, I was sent a 40-page contract at 9 a.m. and at 9:23, I hit send on an email back to the supplier with the 12 points that needed changing. The supplier literally called him and said, but I thought this to-do was with you. And the buyer just replied, well, yeah, it was. Now, tag, you're it. So it was right back at them in a time where he couldn't have even read the 40 pages.
It's a measure of how important it is to understand how AI is being used within a company, to see how packed the room is, and online too. So there's a lot of people wanting to steal some great ideas here. Do you see your company as a leader in the adoption of AI? Because I guess it is.
I was just about to say, saying it that way, yes, maybe it is. I mean, we have heard a lot of cases where, how you could or would or should do it. Yeah. And yes, maybe there are not that many companies who have really put it into practice. And I would recommend just do it. It's not that rocket science. It doesn't take forever to onboard. And indeed, find something small.
That's exactly what I wanted to ask. Find something small is what I've heard for 2 days. Make it focused and know exactly what your outcome needs to be.
And find something that doesn't break the whole thing. Don't go all in for something like that. Intake, there's no risk. There's absolutely no risk. If it doesn't work, well, you just pick up the phone, call the procurement person, and keep telling them what it actually is that you want to buy. But we are getting very, very good feedback so far from end users who say, oh, Nina, you've got this new tool. Can you explain to me how this works? I usually go back and say, listen, here's the link. Give it a try. If you get stuck, call me. I'm here. And they usually call 10 minutes later and say, damn, that was easy. I'm done. I didn't need you.
Were you the first department in the company to employ an AI module, or you were? And is everybody else racing to catch up? Are they now copying you and introducing their own solutions?
So there was a little bit of that. So there was a bit of, how can procurement be the innovative ones here? What's happening? So there was a little bit of envy from places like R&D and IT. Why do they get to do it and we don't? And now we are looking into certain aspects where we can even use the same thing. So legal is hopping onto this because, frankly, I learned that legal doesn't want to read terms and conditions either.
Are there any questions so far that anybody wants to put? There's a gentleman here. Have we got a microphone somewhere? Right at the front. Right at the front. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, Nina. Really good presentation, thank you. Nilesh Patani from Head of Contract Management at NHS England. How you referenced an example of the terms and conditions, 20 minutes, and they were reviewed and back with the supplier. But how much confidence did you have in what that was, and was there elements of building confidence in the system? And if you could just talk a little bit more about that, because I think
Absolutely.
And amongst your team as well, how much confidence?
Yeah, absolutely, because you think it's too good to be true, so you don't trust it. And then it shows you the passages that, for example, it would spit out a table of, okay, this is your phrase, or your paragraph, this is the paragraph of the supplier, this is why it's red, green, whatever. And it shows you the reference of where it took it from. So you actually go there, and the first couple of times, you go into the document, and then you read it for yourself, and you think, that's exactly what it said it was. And in most of the cases, it is absolutely right. I have one case where, because what you can, for example, also do is compare quotes, which is also a nice thing. So there, you take 2 quotes of 2 consulting projects, and you say, listen, compare total price, payment terms, and quality of consultants. And it will give you a table. There I've had one case where one of the quotes didn't have a valid payment term, but they said that the offer was valid for 30 days. So the tool took those 30 days as the payment term. That was literally the only thing that I ever found that was a real mistake. But yes, you have to build that trust. Everybody has to use it. That's also why at the end it says, just play around with it. You can't break it. It doesn't write back anywhere. It doesn't save. It doesn't go into your ERP. You can't get it wrong. And most people have tried around with it. And you find more and more use cases, especially for this document comparison, where people come back and they say, listen, I got 3 quotes. One was a PDF, one was a PowerPoint, and the other supplier sent it in Excel. We put it all up. It spits it all out in nice Excel tables, and I can compare it.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions before we go? The microphone's coming your way, sir.
Hi, Lewis Walls, University of Cambridge, business analyst. Thank you for that. I just wanted to sort of understand how long did it sort of take from the inception of deciding what you wanted to do to actually get fully embedded and trained in and get the adoption?
I want to say within procurement, probably within 6 weeks, we said, okay, this is something that we want to do. We're onto something. We took another 6 months to convince IT that we're onto something, and then we took another 2 weeks to go live.
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
I mean, that is really one of the key things. Adoption is so quick. So for the new countries now, what we're doing, because we're onboarding new countries as we go now. So we've created all the communication happens in a shared team folder with the suppliers and us. That's where we put all the data, where we have all the communication, which is a very quick and easy communication. And now, as the countries are ready, they upload the little things that are very specific to them and locally. GL accounts, local buyers for material groups, and so on. They upload this, and as soon as they're ready, we go live with a new country.
Fantastic. Thank you.
So a total of about 8 weeks just to get the solution sorted, and 6 months to haggle with IT. Yeah, that sounds about right. Gentleman there, your microphone's coming your way, sir.
I have to say, though, I don't blame IT.
No,
it was
sure.
brand new for them, too.
Hi, it's Alex from Spenke. I just had a question. What have you decided to do or put in place to prevent IT costing millions in unrealised savings next time round?
You mean for them?
Or for taking 6 months to decide. So you decided in 6 weeks. Why are IT allowed to slow down the business by 6 months?
That's a very
That's 6 months of unrealised savings that's cost you millions, based on the calculation. What have you put in place to make sure that IT don't delay innovation and cost the company millions next time round?
I'll ask the CTO next time. No, I mean, seriously, every company I've worked for is dominated by a department. Most companies, it's either R&D or sales. I want to say for us, IT is a very, very strong department. So the time I had to spend with them in order for them to even look at the business case, because they said, we're not even going to evaluate this product because it's a startup and we don't want to work with them, period. So the amount of time that took, and until we had the business case together, which was just an overwhelming no-brainer, and they were like, okay, I guess we have to look at this now. And now they're also using it, and now they like it. But that hurdle is big.
And it's not surprising, I guess. I mean, I am guilty of orchestrating, taking a pop at IT in this discussion, and I want to apologise. But I am a technophobe, which brings me on to, which I think is the big question at the heart of your journey, which is bringing people on with you. And you touched on that right at the beginning. How did you engage people right at the beginning, not only to develop the product and put it in place, but also to get the first users completely on board with it?
So I think there are two sides. One are the people that have requests.
Yeah.
So there we went in the pilot group. We took people that would be, that are usually generally interested in procurement and like working with us. And we also took some of the very critical stakeholders. So we had the devil's advocate in the project to understand, okay, what's working, what's not. But then the other side, and that is more crucial, was on the procurement side. Because, of course, there were a lot of operative procurement people who did realize that, okay, this is going to make my job a lot more efficient. Efficiency usually means downsizing.
Yep.
And that is something where I'd say to everybody, don't underestimate the current narrative that's going around in the media. People are very aware of that. And despite the fact that we have certain things where we're building internal shared service centers now, people were more afraid of this thing taking their job than they were of the shared service center. And that is something where we've just had a lot of conversations about, listen, we're trying to alleviate you from the tedious work so that you can actually do the real work. I mean, as I said, we have a huge amount of maverick buying, which we can now tap into because we have the breadth we didn't have before.
And just to be clear, I don't know if you're at the stage where you can even dare answer this yet, but they now feel reassured that their jobs are safe and that their jobs are better and more fulfilling, and therefore they are more productive. And presumably you're seeing that now develop.
Yes, and I think the most important thing is to have those conversations, to not leave it on tap, because they're having these conversations at the coffee machine in the kitchen. So you might as well address it in the projects and say, listen, I understand that you will have free capacity, and this is what we plan for you to do in that time. There is no plan to lay off people. So
you've kept your procurement staff happy. As for the rest of the staff, who are used to be going their own maverick way around your company, around the world, perhaps we saw in that video how much engagement you actually didn't have to do. Once they saw it was so easy and effective for them, presumably your staff engagement job was sort of done?
Pretty much. I mean, we do sometimes go to team meetings of other departments and show it, and then they come back and say, okay, that was really simple, which is great. But it also improves our job so much because the data quality gets so much better. AA does a better job of choosing a material object code than a person that's not in procurement. How much spend do we have that's categorized wrongly? It does a much better job at that.
Yeah.
All these kinds of things. I don't want the user to have to think about a material code. It's not their job, or a GL account.
Did at any stage you have to rebuild your data, completely reevaluate it? And was your data right? Because data's huge and messy.
Oh, we have 78 ERP systems.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
Yes, data is very messy. So for us, it only gets better. There is no way to lose if that's your database and that's your starting point.
Wow, there's hope. So you said you're rolling it out country by country. How else is your company rolling out specific use AI modules? Is that ongoing now?
So far, that's at least the only one I know of that's live and up and running.
Yeah. But do you see colleagues in other departments, as you said,
Yes.
coming to steal the
Yes.
idea?
So there are actually some colleagues who come now and say, okay, Nina, we're thinking about doing something in AI. Can you tell me how you steered IT?
Look, we're not going to go back into that, or IT will be. Any other questions that people? There's somebody. 2 questions at the front. A lady in the blue jacket here. James, the lightning speed microphone is on his way.
Yeah, Nina, just wondering, are you also looking at building in your own capabilities in-house to be able to have, your own data scientists and data engineers that can actually build your own kind of AI applications, so you're not always dependent on other companies bringing it in for you? Is that a path that you're considering as well?
Not really. I think we are a world-class provider of access solutions. We are not a world-class provider of IT tools. I'd rather go with somebody who does that full-time and for a living, because that's what they specialized in, and they're just much better than we can ever be.
And can I take a question from the chap at the back? Is that all right? Thank you.
Hi, Nina. Thanks for sharing the use cases. Often we see that there's a kind of a myopic view when it comes to business cases around AI, which is there a level of staff optimization or something on that side where I can see very hard P&L productivity when I'm looking at such AI use case? And I thought I heard you say there was nothing of that sort that happened there. What did your business case broadly look like? How did you convince management if there was none of that happening?
So for us, it is a lot about being able to deliver more value out of procurement. So the time that we free in procurement, we use to tackle the maverick buying, and we have about 200 million spent in the category others, which is beautifully to manage and to come up with a category strategy for. And those are the things that we use this capacity for, to tap into that. Because if out of those 200 million, we can save 5%, we're good, we're done. And as opposed, with regards to the time that we're giving to the requesters, that's something where we said, listen, you can't set people free because they're saving 5 minutes on every purchase, because that's still not a full body. But imagine how much more productive they can be in their roles. That is actually something that we didn't even quantify.
And I think we haven't got any more time for a question, but I'm going to take one. Anyway, the lady at the front caught my eye, and I know there are other questions. I apologise profusely. Laser sharp and quick, if you would.
Yes. Thank you, Nina. So you mentioned that there is some level of time being freed up. Have you used your team to train the AI, and what sort of new skills you think your team will need to use the AI tools in the future?
They will need a lot of curiosity and interest. So we're seeing now that people are coming up with new use cases all the time. So one thing that we have done now is on our rolling meetings, we will always have somebody show a use case where they have made good use, or where they found a case where they said, hey, listen, I didn't know this was possible. It really helped me. Something that would have been 20 minutes was 3.5. So these kinds of things are really, really important that we keep that going. And we can really now see the gap between first adopters and late adopters getting bigger and bigger, where we want to say, okay, we'll take these late adopters along with us, just because we can show them specific use cases. Because there are people who will, on their own, experiment with it and find out new things, and they are the ones that will really have to see the use case with their own eyes in order to be able to replicate it, and taking those two along.
Nina and our questioners, thank you so much. I suspect we could go on and on and on, but I'm not allowed to. Will you be available to chat to anybody
anytime
outside stage
yes.
2, should you want to learn some more about the pains and the brilliance of what you've been able to achieve? Nina Bomberg, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.